She kicked a beggar in the market, unaware that woman was her billionaire boss's mother. Zara thought she was untouchable, stylish, bold, and too important to care. But one moment of pride, one viral video, and one familiar face would bring her whole world crashing down. This is not just a story about karma. It's about what happens when the person you humiliate turns out to be the reason you even have a job. The sun beat down on Beggar market like it was angry. Hawkers yelled prices. Women haggled over pepper, and kiki horns pierced the air in frustration. But through all the chaos, one woman stood out. Heels clicking on dusty concrete, sunglasses perched like a crown, her long weave flowing like a celebrity caught in slow motion. Zara, a receptionist at Royal Oak Estates, dressed like she owned the company. She walked to the market not because she had to, but because her Uber had dropped her off 2 streets away, and she refused a trek without drama. She hissed loudly, "God, this place smells like poverty." Then it happened. A frail hand tugged lightly on her arm. "Please, just 100 Nigerian nairas for water," an old woman whispered, crouched in the dust like a forgotten shadow. Her wrapper was faded, her hands trembled, and her eyes held a strange silence, not begging, just watching. Zara turned, looked her up and down, and laughed. "Excuse me? Do I look like I'm carrying change for gutter people?" People nearby turned. Some shook their heads. One man brought out his phone quietly. The old woman still held her hand out. Zara snapped. "I said, don't touch me," she shouted. And before anyone could stop her, she raised her leg and kicked the beggar's bowl into the gutter. The old woman fell backward, her coin scattering. Gasps. One trader screamed, "Aha! She be human being too now." But Zara had already flipped her weave and marched away, muttering, "Dirty nonsense." Behind her, the beggar slowly sat up. Her lip bled, but she didn't speak. She just stared, her eyes locked on Zara's back. Cold, steady, familiar. That night, the video hit TikTok. Caption: Slay Queen assaults old woman in Lagos market. Within hours, it had 80,000 views. By morning, it had crossed 1.2 million. But Zara didn't know. She was too busy preparing for the biggest opportunity of her career, a final interview to become executive assistant to the CEO of Royal Oak Estates. The same job she'd been bragging about for months. The same CEO no one had ever seen in person. As she powdered her face in the mirror, she smiled. Whoever the CEO is, he better be ready for me. Outside her window, thunder rumbled softly. In another part of Lagos, Mama Grace, the beggar, sat quietly by candlelight, holding a small framed photo of a young man in a graduation cap. She touched the glass gently and whispered, "Kelvin, it's time you knew what kind of people you're hiring." The next day, Zara would walk into the office and come face to face with someone she thought she left in the gutter. But this time, she wouldn't be the one standing tall. Zara strutted into the glass tower of Royal Oak Estates like she owned it. Her heels tapped confidently across the marble floor, past the security desk, past the reception, where other applicants sat stiffly with brown envelopes, and straight to the front of the line. She didn't greet anyone. She didn't even glance at the cleaner, who mopped silently by the corner. She just adjusted her fitted blazer, looked into the mirrored elevator doors, and smiled at her own reflection. "Executive assistant to the CEO," she told the front desk. "I'm here for the final interview." Zara Okonkwo. The receptionist nodded, but something in her eyes flickered. "Please take the elevator to the 12th floor. Someone will receive you." Zara walked away, unaware that her name was already trending online. 12th floor, private lobby. The elevator doors opened into silence. Zara stepped out, confused. No one, no noise, just soft lighting, luxury furniture, and one large framed photo on the wall. A young man in a suit, smiling with a woman beside him. The woman looked older, graceful, calm, her head wrapped in a traditional scarf. Zara rolled her eyes. Village energy. I hope he's upgraded since then. Then a voice behind her. "You're early." Zara turned. Standing by the window was a man. Tall, well-dressed, neat beard, quiet eyes. Mr. Kelvin, he said, offering a handshake. So, her breath caught. He looked nothing like the harsh business tycoon she imagined. He looked soft-spoken. Kind. Too kind. Oh, sir, sorry. I didn't expect you'd receive me personally. He smiled faintly, motioned for her to sit. The interview began. Zara, now suddenly sweet, spoke with poise. She talked about time management, client relations, how she handled difficult people with grace. Kelvin listened. He nodded. He even smiled, but he didn't speak much. Until the end. Can I show you something? He asked gently. He picked up a remote. The wall behind him shifted, revealing a large screen. A video played. Zara's face. The market. The beggar. The kick. Zara's blood drained. No, that's not. That was taken out of context. Kelvin paused the video. I've watched it 10 times, he said calmly, and I still don't see the part where context saves you. Zara stood up quickly. Sir, please? I didn't know someone was recording. Oh, so if no one saw it, it wouldn't matter? Her voice broke. I didn't know who she was. He turned, walked to the framed photo, touched the woman's image. That's my mother, he said. Zara dropped back into her chair. Silence filled the room like a funeral. Kelvin walked slowly toward her. She didn't even tell me what happened, he said. She didn't call, didn't want to disturb me. It was the internet that showed me. He looked at Zara with tired eyes. My mother, sitting in dust, bleeding, because of you. Zara opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Downstairs, in the lobby, Mama Grace sat quietly beside the cleaner. She held her purse tightly, staring at the elevator. One tear rolled down her cheek. She thought it was just a moment of anger in the market, but that one moment would cost her everything. And what happened next, no one saw coming. Zara sat frozen. The video was paused on a frame where she raised her leg. Her face twisted in disgust, her heel about to strike. Behind her, market women had gasped. Now she was gasping too. Sir, she whispered, please give me a chance to explain. Kelvin looked at her like a stranger. You walked into this company with pride. Zara, I watched you from the moment you stepped in. No greeting, no kindness, just entitlement. He turned to his table and pulled out a folder. I didn't bring you here for an interview. Zara's head jerked up. Then what? I wanted to see if people like you change when they move from a market to a marble floor. He tapped the folder. These were your glowing recommendations, but not one of them mentioned character. Just efficiency, punctuality, presentation. I wanted to test the one thing they didn't write about. Zara blinked back tears. Her voice cracked. I didn't know she was your mom. But you knew she was human, he said. And then he did something that shattered her further. He walked to the intercom and pressed a button. Bring her up. Zara's breath caught. Wait, who? The elevator dinged. Mama Grace stepped out slowly, wrapped in a clean Iroan blouse, with fresh slippers on her feet and dignity in her spine. She walked into the room, head held high. Zara stood, trembling. Mama, please. Mama Grace didn't look at her. Not yet. She looked at her son. Kelvin walked up to his mother and held her hands. Mummy, I'm sorry I didn't come to see you last week. Work's been mad. She smiled softly. I understand, my son. Then he turned to Zara. Tell her, he said quietly. Everything. Zara broke down, on her knees now, crying. I kicked her bowl. I said terrible things. I treated her like filth. I didn't even ask her name. I just wanted her gone. Mama Grace looked at her, long and slow. Then she said, You kicked my bowl, but what broke me wasn't the kick, it was your eyes. Zara sobbed. I was angry. I've been struggling. Life has been... Mama Grace interrupted gently. So has mine. But I never use pain to punish strangers. Zara collapsed to the floor, whispering, I'm sorry. But Mama Grace just turned to Kelvin. She has apologized. What you do next is your choice. Then she walked out, slow and steady, like a queen who had seen too much. Kelvin looked at Zara. She was still on the floor, trembling. "Here's what's going to happen," he said quietly. "You won't get this job. You're not ready. Not yet." Zara closed her eyes. But he wasn't finished. "I believe people can change, but only when they're forced to face themselves. So you'll stay. As a cleaner. 1 month. If you last that long, we'll talk again." Zara looked up, shocked. "A cleaner?" "Same salary," he added, "but the title will match your attitude." He didn't wait for her reply. He walked out, leaving her there, surrounded by glass, marble, and the sound of her own pride crumbling. She entered the company to sit behind a desk. Now, she holds a mop, but what she'll learn in the next 4 weeks will change everything. Zara's first day as a cleaner at Royal Oak Estates was the longest day of her life. She wore the dull gray uniform. No heels, no lashes, no perfume, just gloves, a mop, and a bucket with her name scribbled in red marker. Zara, oh. The staff who once smiled at her when she dressed like royalty now whisper behind her back, "That's the same girl that kicked that beggar?" Omo, pride comes before rag day. But she said nothing, not a word. She wiped desks. She scrubbed toilet tiles. She emptied bins, including the one in the office where she had once sat for her final interview. Every time she passed the 12th floor, her heart tightened, but she didn't dare look up. Day 5, she saw Mama Grace again, in the hallway, sitting by the window, knitting. Zara walked past quickly, head bowed, but Mama Grace called softly, "How's the mopping going?" Zara stopped, swallowed hard. "I'm learning," she whispered. Mama Grace nodded. Pain has a way of teaching what pride refuses to hear. Zara stood there for a moment, then said, "I think I used to be blind." Mama Grace smiled. "At least now your eyes are open." Day 14. Zara stayed late one night to clean the boardroom. She didn't know Kelvin was still inside. He watched her silently, then said, "Sit." She hesitated. "I said sit. Not on the floor this time." Zara sat. No makeup, no gloss, just truth on her face. Kelvin studied her. "You've lasted 2 weeks. You didn't quit. Why?" Zara's voice was quiet. "Because I needed to understand what I never saw before. I walked past pain like it was decoration. But this job, it's taught me to see." Kelvin looked at her for a long time, then nodded. Day 30. The staff gathered in the lounge. Zara stood in her cleaning uniform, thinking she was about to be dismissed quietly. Kelvin walked in, cleared his throat. "There's someone I'd like to introduce," he said. She came in with pride, fell hard, but rose with humility. He turned to her. "Zara, if you're ready, your desk is waiting." Gasps, whispers. Zara stood there, stunned. Kelvin walked closer. "This time, don't waste it." She shook her head, holding back tears. "I won't." Mama Grace walked in slowly from the side, holding a small wrapped gift. "I know cleaners don't wear heels," she said softly, handing it to her. "But maybe now you'll walk in them with better balance." Zara smiled, eyes red, voice shaking. "I don't deserve your kindness." Mama Grace touched her cheek gently. "No one ever does. That's why it's called grace." Zara walked through market weeks later. Same heels, same sunglasses. But this time, she saw the beggars. She greeted the traders. She even bent to help a child pick up fallen oranges. Because now she knew dignity isn't in what you wear. It's in how you treat the people who can't repay you. And the woman she once kicked? She was the reason she finally stood tall. Moral lesson: never look down on anyone because of how they appear. The person you mock today might be the hand you'll need tomorrow. True character is revealed not by how we treat the powerful, but how we treat the helpless. Respect, kindness, and humility cost nothing, but the price of pride can be everything. The end.